good evening. We thank you for joining us. The part of gas in this package is very close to home, and when that happens, the impact is very palpable. Liquefied petroleum gas LPG domestic market is to be expanded by the NNPC, and 223 companies are already lined up to offtake natural gas liquids. This is looking at more homes and more communities being brought into the consumption fold. Keeping faith with the statutes of local content development can only be very rewarding. The legislature is advocating this from the point of view of conviction and committed participation. Even as OPEC is calling for conformity and sticking to the agreement, what agreement and who are being addressed are all in the details. I'm Akin Agbijule. This is Oil and Gas Forum.
Under President Muhammadu Buhari, we've seen where there is fuel, you make a choice of where to buy fuel. You make shakara for them.
No panic to buy fuel for black market. NNPC go bring fuel for all motorists.
NNPC say them get fuel jabrata for ground. Saboteur. All of una wey dey tiff with fuel and petroleum station wey dey hot smuggle and divert our fuel go neighboring country. Plus people wey dey build small tank and sell fuel pass our government price of 145 naira per litre. Stop am o. Because why? Na big offense now. Na jail straight away. NNPC say our government no increase fuel price, na still 145 naira per litre. So therefore, no buy black market, no do panic buying. Enough fuel dey wey go round. Nigerians, if you see any petrol station where they sell fuel pass our government price of 145 naira per litre, kia report to the nearest security agency when near you or the Department of Petroleum Resources. Na Ndu Ohamadu, Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division NNPC, sign this message.
This is a man from the point of view of transparency. You can say you trust him, you believe in him.
Let's review the key points of the stories. Domestic LPG markets to be expanded by the NNPC, and with 223 companies bidding for natural gas liquids, the project is good to go. Deepening local content development cannot be overemphasized in view of its great economic benefits. Legislative takeaway from the 2019 local content stakeholders retreat. OPEC calls for full conformity if the oil production cap agreement is to yield envisaged results. Details are on the other side of the break.
Hadiza Yusuf is an independent petroleum marketer known for her dogged devotion for due process. She has spent 23 years in oil and gas business and has seen the high and low, especially battle of long queues.
When it comes to petrol, oil and gas, I think they have done well. It's even surprising that we have the product. I sometimes stand here personally just to beg customers, please buy my petrol. Yes. That's how much fuel we have and how much the customer now has the power to go to any other station that they like.
Elder Chinedu Okwaronko also affirms the fact that things have changed for the better.
Without mentioning words, you can see that people without any hiccups get into filling station and pick their product. Some depots that were not loading product have started loading product. It's a serious achievement. And I know with this second coming of Mr. President, a lot of things will begin to work efficiently.
A visit to most filling stations indicates that motorists simply drive in and out, avoiding the agony of the past.
My experience as far as the availability of petrol is concerned in Nigeria is fantastic. You can drive into any filling station, good ones at that, like the one we are buying from now, and you can drive easily and buy the what you want to buy and drive out without stress.
This no doubt is not unconnected to improve operating arrangements as well as rehabilitation and turnaround maintenance of depots and refineries by the Buhari administration.
ultimately the overriding objective is providing fuel to the people of Nigeria. Yes. So I think on that front we've made significant progress. Yes. And we're extremely encouraged by the results of the effort. It wouldn't have been possible without the leadership of the Group Managing Director in aligning everybody in NNPC to achieving this overriding objective.
Well, efforts by the Buhari administration in the oil and gas sector is being applauded. Nigerians are optimistic of sustenance of seamless product distribution that will make life easier for citizenry. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Hello, my name is Julia Auta. Glad you could join us on the feedback segment of the program. On today's edition, our roving camera is on the streets to seek the views of the people on how the oil and gas sector has performed under President Muhammadu Buhari as the Minister of Petroleum Resources in the last 4 years.
The production level has risen very sharply. I can say that those variables that are within his control, he has been able to do what he can do to bring sanity to that sector.
To compare with the past government, in terms of oil and gas sector, he tried. Because if I want to tell you the truth, as at that time, people will die in filling station, buy these things, but since he entered, such thing has not happened.
And for the president being the Minister of Petroleum, there has been a lot of transformation in the area of fuel. There's not much fuel scarcity like much like we used to get a few years ago.
Numbers of years that he has been in government, we've not had shortages for some particular period of time. I think he has tried in that particular aspect.
The petroleum industry, which he heads, was performing better because we can now see the money being used to power our electricity system. We are seeing railway, we are seeing the second Niger bridge, and so many other things. This has never been before since 1999. Never seen anything like this.
The presently, since he came in, it's very difficult to see the queue in filling station, which is a great success in that sector.
Buhari is the minister and he has performed wonderfully well. There is abundant fuel everywhere, except you don't have your money, there is fuel everywhere. You make your choice, you make shakara for them. You see a lot of fuel stations, people are begging you, and that's what we want.
At least for some years now, we have not been seeing queue. You enter the petrol station and you buy fuel, you go away.
One of the things I observe is the queuing, the strike, the scarcity reduced.
I think in the last 4 years, President Muhammadu Buhari has fared well in the petroleum industry because I noticed last December when people traveled on with ease.
From the responses, you will agree with me that the taste of the pudding is in the eating. And that's it on this segment. Please don't go away as the rest of the program continues.
The former Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Dr. Ibe Kachiku, has attributed the successes of the 7 big wins and other modest gains recorded in the oil and gas sector to teamwork by departments, agencies, and other stakeholders in the petroleum resources value chain. Dr. Kachiku made this known when he hosted the various heads of agencies and top management of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources in a valedictory session in Abuja. He noted that the gains and successes recorded in the sector are largely attributable to the team effort, nexus, and collaboration.
The successes that we've scored in this period of 3.5, 4 years, it's largely not been a one-man driver, it's been a collegiate.
He said that he was delighted to have impacted all to do better on the job and aspire to higher goals. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has commenced the process of expanding the nation's liquefied petroleum gas LPG market through the selection of reputable companies to offtake natural gas liquids NGLs for domestic and international markets. The exercise, which took place at the NNPC Towers in Abuja, saw 223 companies bid for the 2019-2021 sale and purchase of natural gas liquids. Speaking at the public opening of the bids in keeping with the corporation's commitment to transparency, the group managing director of the corporation, Dr. Mekanti Baru, said the exercise was part of the strategic focus to expand the nation's domestic LPG supply and encourage investment in storage, marketing, and distribution infrastructure. Dr. Baru, who was represented by the Chief Operating Officer COO Gas and Power, Engineer Seidu Mohammed, said Nigeria was among the countries with the lowest per capita consumption of LPG because of low penetration of the product.
We have invited bids from partners who will uplift our natural gas liquids and LPG from the various sources, internal sources, but we have to do it transparently to the satisfaction of everybody, the satisfaction of all stakeholders, but most importantly to select partners that can add value to this natural gas liquid that we are looking at. We are looking at both sides, from the production, transportation, to storage and marketing of this gas. And also we are not, this time around, we are not only focused about lifting and sending it out, but we are also focusing on maximum value within the nation. In other words, we want to use this kind of event, this kind of transaction to propel the LPG market throughout the nation, grow the market to the level that it deserves.
The event was witnessed by representatives of the Bureau of Public Procurement BPP, Department of Petroleum Resources DPR, Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board NCDMB, among other stakeholders.
And the first show, for example, was very, very transparent. It showed to the whole world that this is how they want to continue.
It is done in the open, very transparent, and we believe that even at the end, the qualified companies will emerge. Everybody will not emerge, but the qualified ones.
I do commend this government and the NNPC especially for following due process and instilling that confidence in us, ensuring us that our bids are safe, and this is going to be a very transparent and fair process.
Well, I think it's a laudable effort, and I hope it continues this way. The transparency, we're seeing it, and we hope it continues like this, and it gives all players a level playing field.
I'm impressed the manner they are handling the acceptance of the bids, and they are very fast and organized. It's very commendable that the process he introduced is very, very transparent, and at least it's part of the crusade for war against corruption.
We were given some form of scholarship through school, so it made things a lot easier for my family, and he also saw me through, helped me buy my books and take care of some of my medical school expenses.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
The quest to seek new frontiers for the sale and marketing of the various grades of Nigeria's equity crude oil and gas was attained recently with the establishment of new outlet in Dubai, United Arab Emirates by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Mr. Inua Waya, Managing Director of the corporation's oil trading subsidiary, NNPC Trading Limited, stated in an interview with Oil and Gas Forum that the new office will enable the oil trading company activate its aggressive marketing campaign for Nigerian crude grades in the Middle and Far East regions of the world.
In the last 12 months, the NNPC Trading has recorded significant successes, particularly in implementing our transformation agenda in line with what was given to us by the NNPC corporate headquarters, who are our shareholders.
Mr. Waya, who was appointed Managing Director of the company in 2017, following the merger of the entire corporation's oil trading entities, said NNPC Trading has acquired relevant skill sets to compete in the international oil trading arena.
The NNPC has come up with one formidable strong, efficient, and viable crude oil and petroleum products trading company.
The Senate Committee on Local Content has stated that Nigeria has a lot to gain economically through the faithful implementation of the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act 2010. Addressing participants at the opening of 2019 Local Content Stakeholders Retreat with the theme Deepening Legislative-Executive Relationship for Better Sectoral Performance, the committee chairman, Senator Solomon Adeola, said, since the coming on stream of the Act and the operation of the Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board, NCDMB, many Nigerians had benefited from the oil and gas industry in terms of ownership as well as conscious capacity building for citizenry who can now work not only in-country but all over the world where such skills are needed. In his own address, the Executive Secretary of NCDMB, Engineer Simbi Wabote, said the nation had achieved much in the area of implementation of the law since 2010, with Nigerians playing key roles in the oil and gas industry to the level of heading foreign firms in the country, adding that the goal of domiciliation and domestication of value-adding activities and not just Nigerianization was being achieved creditably.
In a bid to remain a going concern in its shipping business operations, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has transformed one of its downstream subsidiaries, NNPC Shipping, into a profit-oriented entity with the goal of becoming the biggest shipping company in Nigeria. Group General Manager of NNPC Shipping, Mrs. Aisha Katagum, made this disclosure in an interview in Abuja.
We've been able to make profit. Declare profit. In fact, it's one of the two companies that actually pay NNPC back for secondary allowances. But for ML, because the ML was created initially as a cost center to mop up, to take care of all the costs like demurrage, so that other, like the marketing arm of PPMC and retail, will be able to generate more money instead of being tied down with that cost.
Mrs. Katagum speaks more on why the company under her watch prefers free on-board rule for shipping oil into the country.
We still strongly feel that the FOB is the best option for this federation. But the other option we're looking at as NNPC Shipping is to go through the off-takers. Instead of changing the Incoterms, the trading terms, we can rather go through the off-takers and get the business from them.
She noted that the introduction of a logo for NNPC Shipping is a welcome idea, stressing that the initiative has rebranded the downstream companies to put them on good footing to operate profitably.
The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, has called on its member countries as well as non-OPEC countries led by the Russian Federation to conform fully to the oil production curb agreement they reached to rebalance the global oil market. OPEC said conformity to the output cut deal it reached under the Declaration of Cooperation (DOC) with non-members was 168% in April 2019, adding that the average conformity reached 120% since January 2019. However, Saudi Arabia's Minister of Energy, Industry and Petroleum Resources, Khalid Al-Falil, said at the recently held 14th Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee meeting of the group in Jeddah, said that it was important for all signatories to the deal to fully conform. Al-Falil added that the organization's shared goal of market stability benefits everyone, including consumers, stressing that the Declaration of Cooperation was credible, responsive, and highly effective.
Hello! Delighted you could join us once again on yet another informative segment of the program. My name is Faith Ayuba. Did you know that deep water operations in Nigeria was born out of the need to develop new energy frontiers and catch up with the rest of the world in terms of technological development? Some of the deep water blocks were awarded to sole risk basis, while most of the early deep water assets were awarded under production sharing contracts. Did you know that since inception, exploration work in deep water blocks have led to the discovery of a number of giant fields with 7 producing blocks? The deep water blocks currently contribute approximately 40% of total national production. Did you know that there are 87 deep water blocks in Nigeria? Well, quite enlightening, you will say. Please don't go away as the rest of the program continues.
Hello, welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices rose after an industry report showed a bigger than expected decline in U.S. crude inventories, although concerns that the U.S.-China trade war would trigger an economic downturn kept a lead on gains. Brent crude futures, the international benchmark for oil prices, were at $69.85 per barrel, up 40 cents or 0.6% from their last close. Brent fell nearly 1% in the previous session. U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude futures were up 48 cents or 0.8% at $59.29 per barrel. U.S. crude inventories fell by 5.3 million barrels in the week to May 24 to 474.4 million barrels. Data from industry group, the American Petroleum Institute, showed. Outside the United States, oil prices remain supported by output cuts from the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and other major producers, as well as falling supplies from Iran. Iranians' May crude exports dropped to less than half of April levels at around 400,000 barrels per day. Tanker data showed, and 2 industry sources said, after the United States tightened sanctions on Tehran's main source of income. Many analysts expect the OPEC-led supply cuts to be extended in a meeting to be held either late June or early July, as OPEC's de facto leader Saudi Arabia wants to prevent oil prices falling back to levels seen in late 2018 when Brent slumped to $50 per barrel. Since OPEC and its allies started withholding supply in January, oil prices have risen by about 30%. And that's about the size of crude oil outlook in this edition of the program. My name is Solomon Yopave.
80% of our youths that are working today are engaged by NPDC and NPDC contractors. Most of the elders who still leave home today to do security job are working also with NPDC. Scholarship, most of our children are being engaged, are being given scholarship by NPDC.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
This is oil well. This is what the Ghanaians called black gold. There is plenty money in this business. By this time tomorrow, I'm going to buy a brand new jeep. Next month, I'm going to buy a whole house. Yes.
You need to show me the way.
Show us the way. You mean you want to be rich? Oh yes. You want to level up? Oh yes. You see, the ones there, let's go and pack it. And after that, I will take you there. Let's go.
So, sir, these people have started their operation again. Abeg, send me 5 battalion, FG guys. Thank you, sir. So, sir,
you can buy everything you want to buy.
I will buy a shop. You are under arrest. Your hand on your head. If you move, I'll move you. Let me warn you all. Anybody or community that is involved in in vandalization of our oil pipeline, we face the wrath of the law.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
Well, that's about the package in this edition of Oil and Gas Forum. Thanks for being part of it. On behalf of NNPC, we got a new week on our hands. Make it profitable.